Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to my channel. And way back when, and we're going back to 1914 today. And that picture on the left is a picture of Chester and Clarence, and I just covered them both up. I am going to use Chester's nickname in the title, well, subtitle. Instead of Chester, I'm going to use the name Chet just because it fits better. I may not have thought of doing that if it hadn't. But I put that cardstock on there because that light blue that's in the word explore. And I didn't want the whole thing of that green forest paper. It is Never Grow Up by Chanel. And I thought, well, I'll put it down the middle so I can save the other part to go behind my picture because it's going to be setting, well, at first I thought it'd be setting on the trees, and then I decided to pull out that 8x8 paper pad there, and I think it's called Habitat, and it's recycled paper, and it's really nice paper. It kind of reminds me of canvas, and I've had it for maybe 9-10 years. It's been a long time, and I've used papers here and there, and they got the cutest little like beaver and stuff on them. And I didn't use any of them on this page just because wasn't sure if they would go with what I had planned. And, I had an idea in my head of what to do, and they didn't go with my idea. But I used this paper, and the reason I picked it is because it's tone on tone, so it's brown on brown, but it's also got that scroll work around the outside. And I showed you all that picture I had of my mom that I actually had the frame on the outside of the picture, and it kind of reminded me of that. That's why I put it on here. My title's going to be Snips and Snails and Puppy Dog Tales, because when I first seen this picture a long time ago, I thought of all the kinds of stuff those little boys could and would have probably got into when they were little. The picture is sepia, and I thought about making it black and white, but then I thought, well, the sepia would go better with the stuff that I had anyway instead of the black and white, so I just went ahead and copied it as the sepia just like it came. That stamp set there, I think it's called Little Things, and it's a jar, but then it's got like a sucker with a stick. It's got conversation hearts, a butterfly, well, just about anything. Oh, jelly beans, anything you want to put in a jar. So you can use it for quite a few other things. And I did think about the mason jars that are blue, and that's why I did it on the cardstock, because at first I thought I was just going to use that. But when I do my little lightning bugs, they're going to be kind of bright. And I thought about doing 2 in the jar and 1 out of the jar, but that one was so bright that it went in the jar too. And the vellum's going to cover it up. Here's my yellow, and I use the Memento yellow, and I have it, and then I have the Distress Ink yellow lemonade, and those are the only 2 yellow that I have. And neither one was really the right color that I wanted, but since I had lightning bugs, I had to have some kind of yellow. That first one I printed way too dark. I did it 3 or 4 times, and I didn't need to. The once was enough, so I had to turn around and print another one because 3 is what I wanted to use on my layout. And so I'm only going to cut the 3 out. I'm going to pull out a yellowish orange marker to put around the edges of the body. I'm going to think of it while I'm cutting this one out. So I'm going to do it already cut out, but then the other 2 I'm going to do on the paper. So it'll be a little bit easier and not try to move around on me. But I was kind of trying to tone down a little bit of that yellow even then. And I hadn't decided to use the vellum and cover them all 3 up yet. They're really cute little fireflies, or as we call them where I was brought up, lightning bugs. Well, I was brought up in Missouri and in Illinois. And you will see me make some rocks for a slingshot later. And I'm going to make them gray because I was thinking of the rocks I was playing with when I was a kid. In Illinois, that soil is black. And the rocks were more gray when you'd pull them out of the ground. I was always hunting fossils. I did find some too. But before the end of the layout, I'm going to change the gray ones out for more of what you see here in the area in Missouri, because they are in Missouri in this picture. And here they're kind of a cream colored mostly. And then because there's so much iron in the ground, they look rusty. So I'm going to get to use my um, rusty hinge distress ink. So yeah, I'm going to get to use that on my rocks. Well, my second set of rocks anyway. I'm adding foam tape behind my little jar because I knew I wanted it to stand out a little bit. Oh, and here I decided to put this string on there. It's not there for any reason because they don't have no little cloth on there to hold it shut. I just wanted it on there for the looks. And see, my little firefly lightning bug is up there on the top, and it's not going to stay there. But yeah, it's going right in there. And it tones it all down. It's not quite as bright. You can still see them in there, and they do look lit up, but they're not quite as bright. I am going to freehand my slingshot because, of course, I don't have no slingshot die or punch or anything. So it's getting free-handed, and I make it, and I think, boy, this is really thin paper. And I think it's Paper Studios. I think it was a scrap from it. So I'm going to add it to some cardstock. I didn't want to add it to white, and the white show up really a lot. So I added it to brown so that it will, what's behind it won't look so stark. And then I'm just going to ink everything. And I am going to use the rusty hinge. I figured it's going to be close enough to the right color, and it was right there on top. So I didn't dig for the tea dye or anything. You see my ball of glue is just like overflowing. And so I'm going to end up even put my finger on it instead of picking the bottle up. I added quite a bit to the back of this because I want my string to stay. And see, there's my slingshot, and it's missing something. I don't notice it for a little while. It'll be like at the end before I notice it, but I am going to fix that. And here's my gray rocks. I will spray it. That paper's a lot heavier. I believe it might have been basil than what I'm going to use later. The later paper that I'm going to use to make my second set of rocks is a whole lot thinner. I think it might have been Color Box or something that's pretty thin, and so I don't spray it. But I sprayed those so I could crinkle them up and set them to the side so they could dry. Only they never dry. Even when I pull them back up, they still weren't dry. I'm trying to figure out how I want my slingshot to go on here. And there's lines on it, Jill. It's like a piece of paneling, so it has the lines between each thing. And I kind of wanted to cover them up, and I thought, well, most slingshots that I've seen have something there in the handle part for you to hold on to. And I thought, well, I could use string. I can wrap it around there and use my string. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just wrapping it around the handle to camouflage the lines. You can still see one there, but the jar is going to hide it. Or at least I hope. Yeah, it is. It is. I looked. It's hiding it. That piece of paper that's textured, that's from a Darice embossing folder. I'd made it to go with my How to Kill a Kit with Style, and it was in there, and I thought of it. So I just grabbed it out of my How to Kill a Kit with Style because I wanted to have like a log or something laying there for my stuff to sit on. And I used the rusty hinge ink on it to help make the embossing show up a little bit better. And that doesn't really look like a log embossing. It don't look like bark or anything, but I like what it looks like. And that tag, I seen it when I was getting that piece of paper, so I had to grab the tag too, so I'd have something to match while it's part of a tag. It's a faux tag. And I put my string in, and then I noticed I didn't have my reinforcer in. So I had to take string back out and put the reinforcer in. But I got it took care of. My jar fits perfectly there. I forgot to check when I put my log down there So when I was actually putting it on there, I thought, oh, I hope it fits good. And it did. I'm going to put my other rocks in the same place these are. I'm just going to pull those out and tuck the other ones back in. And I thought about cutting it out, but then I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and leave it because you're going to see them for a good while there. So I might as well leave them in there since you're going to see them anyway. If I could cut the whole thing out and you not see it at all, I would have to save time on the video, made it shorter. But since they're there and they don't show up as good because they're too close to the color of the background. But the other rocks show up better. I'm punching out 3 leaves here, but at the end I'm going to punch one more out. I decided I needed just one more little branch of leaves. The ink I'm using is Garden Clover, close to my heart, and that's a matching marker, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was the same one. Anyway, I grabbed it out thinking it was. I didn't actually read it, but I think it is. And all I'm doing is putting like some little veins on the leaves so they're not quite plain, and then tucking them in. The last one's going to go over there by the tag, but I am going to punch one more. I better take it back. That is not the last one. I'm using these Happy Life stickers, and I would have used the white again, but I thought, well, I think I want something dark. I wish they had more colors. I have those shiny ones, and I did try to use them, the creamy colored ones, but they were so shiny they didn't go with the rest of the layout. And I did think about using my Martha Stewart punch, but I was lazy, so I didn't. So I used these, so it's a dark blue, but I do have blue twice in here. It's just not the same shade. And I didn't want it to show up super good. I just kind of wanted it as a subtitle, like with their names on it. The cardstock looked really blah, and it looked like it needed something. And I thought of drawing squiggly lines to a doodle all the way around it, but I didn't think it quite went with everything else that I had on the layout. And I thought I'd use black, where my first instinct was brown, and just put dashed lines all the way around the outside of that. I went ahead and cut out another one of this piece of paper that's embossed. I got to thinking I needed something down the center of that. So I kind of wanted it to look like a pole. So I cut on each side of 2 of the embossing patterns and inked them up and just put it right through there. Here's where I'm taking out the rocks. I'm going to think, okay, they're coming out. And I've got to do something else to the slingshot too, because there's still something missing that I forgot. And it's going to be a little harder to do. Well, I guess it's not harder, but I couldn't do it the way I would have originally done it. But there's my rocks. I got a cream color, just like they usually are around here. And then I've got the rusty hinge because there is, like the mud around here is not black usually. It's kind of a reddish color. And clay, there is clay because you're stuck pretty good. And it gets down in the clay. I made 2 holes on the outside of, well, the outer edges of this little black piece, and it's going to be the place that you put the rock in. I'm not sure what kind of name that has. I know the whole thing's slingshot, but I'm not sure what that is. But that's where you put the rock. And since I needed the holes to slip through the string, I had to punch the holes. Then I had to take my scissors and clip them and just kind of lay them into the string. And now I'm putting foam tape on the back and 2 little strips of black to seal up those little clips that I made. And you can't even tell in looking at the layout. The string's on top of that part anyway, and you can't tell it at all. So it worked pretty good. Oh, I think, yeah, this is where I decided I need one more piece of greenery. And I'm going to kind of tuck it underneath the slingshot and come down on my log And yeah, I kind of wanted the boys to look like they were outside. They had their stuff there. And I was tempted to put one more thing on here, and it was a can. Because back then, they played this game called Kick the Can. I heard about it. My mom talked about it. My great uncles and different ones talked about it. And how, when like a kid would say they were bored or something, they'd say, well, go kick the can. And they just kick a can down the streets, what they would do. Like if they kicked it very far, another kid would kick it, and they would kind of chase after it and kick it. Yeah. So I thought about making a can and put on here, but I didn't. But that's it. That's my layout. And sorry I missed last week, but and this one's late this week. I have been reorganizing instead of being creative. I've been reorganizing things I've thought about and thought about doing and just kind of put off. And once I got started, everything was pulled out and I just went ahead and kept with it. But yeah, that's it. That's my layout. And I appreciate you all stopping by and watching my video. And if you leave a comment below, I'll get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. And those of you who are, thank you so much. But there is a challenge in Mercy Tierra's 27-day scrappy challenges, and you can get in on it by doing a heritage layout and putting it in the folder there. So look at your stuff, old pictures, and do a heritage layout. Thank y'all for watching. Have a happy scrappy week. Take care and stay safe. Bye.